All right.
I always want to put in some Star Wars Easter eggs.
There you
go. It's just part of my DNA. I can't help it. It's just part of who I am.
Well, people, speaking of the Force is within you to share this. So tell a little bird right now, because you know how many, people who love, it was great to hear about writing books from Lorna Sixsmith. It's going to be amazing because not only do we have JOJANNEKE talking about her own experience, with TED Talks and her international speaking, but we also have two other amazing guests, and it's going to be a range from taking it from the boardroom to TEDx Talk or wherever you may want to go. So I'm excited as an international speaker myself. I'm excited to hear what they're going to share and be in the background seeing what I can do to help engage and further the conversation for you. So
That's
if
awesome.
you are ready, do we need some guests? Where are the ladies?
Yes, where are the ladies? I also
there's
already.
Jolene.
Yeah, there's Jolene.
And are you having
our
them
girl
come on together, or are they coming on separately?
No, I think we're going to do it together. Just the three of us. We can make it if we try. Yeah, we can. We can.
All right.
Yeah.
So, hello, Jolene. Welcome. Is this your first time on Blab?
No.
Sorry. Oh, no, that's right. But Jolene, can I just really quickly? Jolene, she's in Syracuse.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And you went to school in my neck of the woods. That is insane.
I sure did. Yes. And you live near my mom and my sister. So, yeah, that was funny.
Oh, my gosh.
Just to share how odd that a Dutch woman would connect. I'm living in Denmark. She's living in Syracuse. And suddenly it's like, oh, hey, I know that. I know this. So weird. Anyway, I'm not going to think about this. We'll have to connect and chat later.
Absolutely.
I'm so looking forward to this talk. So let's get it out there, people. Spread the joy, spread the news, and let's get this place filled up. We need better speakers and especially more women speakers. So
yes, we do.
Looking forward to this.
Yes, we do.
Go, go, go.
Yeah.
All right, people.
Okay.
Bye.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you very much, Lori, for introducing this session. There's this one question in the chat box. It's from Marley Computers, Lori Web Black Screen. Please reboot your browser if you encounter any technical issues, and everything will be fine. Hello, Jolie.
Hello, JOJANNEKE. It's good to see you again.
It's so good to see you again. Yeah, we've had some great times on Blab a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We have had two sessions. One was about TEDx Talks, and one was about, what was it about again?
The online programs. How speakers benefit from online programs.
Yeah, it was about getting online programs to sell better. Yeah, that's true. There were nice sessions, and it was heaps of fun because that was in the early days of Blab for me. It was like in September and December, and I instantly connected with more people afterwards, and I was pretty impressed by the way that you handled all communications beforehand. Like yes.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah, it's admirable, and I took some inspiration from that because I thought you really have to be thorough in preparing your speakers as you would for a normal conference, and you did that so well. So I took the liberty of feeling inspired by that because it was absolutely great, and it took also this event to the next level. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the invite. I'm very, very grateful. So this will be a good time.
So we're talking today about public speaking in corporate settings and about TEDx. And I was wondering whether or not we could do this conversation, the three of us. So basically, I'm waiting for Liana as well to hop into this conversation because it will last also 1 hour or 50 minutes until 10 to 7 Dutch time. For you it's noon. Jolene,
Yes, it's
good
noon.
Afternoon.
We're in the U.S.
Good afternoon. We started out when you were just snoozing.
Great. Yeah.
You lucky one. Yeah, no, it's been an amazing day, and for everyone who pops in just now, let me introduce myself really short. I'm JOJANNEKE van den Bos. I'm an online entrepreneur. And April Fool's Day, I will be in business for 10 years, and that's not a joke. My second, yay! Yeah, and I'm the owner of Online Com Academy with over 25 online courses on online strategy and social media, and the author of 2 books. I've spoken on TEDx and have been public speaking for over 10 years now, 11. And I really wanted to do a conference, this Beyond Envy conference with the weird name, because sometimes when you excel at something, sometimes you get some remarks that aren't too positive, or that can be positive if they were only expressed in another way. And I strongly believe that any kind of negativity or envy is in essence a wish to perform better or to achieve some kind of better result. So we have a technical issue, but I saw Zef Zan popping in and out to get Liana in the room. There she is. Lovely.
Yay!
Hi.
I'm here. I'm in.
You're
Hi.
here.
Hello there. Hello there. I was just doing a quick introduction of the Beyond Envy conference because I don't do that every hour. Because some of you here in the room have been following the conference all day because I see your pictures up here and I value you to a great extent. So, but there are some new people here in the room, so I decided to. I hear an echo. Please fix that tech issue. I'm going to put out the ears because I hear myself, so I'm going to do it like this. Sorry. Which is unfortunate because I can't hear you now. Well, so Beyond Envy Conference, I want to have a positive counter movement from all the negativity sometimes we find online. And what better way is there to be a part of the solution instead of pondering over the problem? So our solution is today to let 13 experts share their insights and expertise on their topics so that you can benefit and improve your own skills. Okay, hi Lori.
Okay, Joe, I'm in here for you, hon. Why don't you step out of the room for a second and refresh, because maybe that's the thing, because you're not going to be able to do it like this.
Okay.
That's going to drive you crazy. So just pop out of the room and come back. Hello, ladies. This is what happens when we do live streaming.
I love it.
And it doesn't matter how much you prepare. It just happens, right? So hopefully JOJANNEKE'S sound and audio and everything will come back in. Okay, how's that good? Is that good? All right, then I'll see you again. Ciao.
Okay, thank you, Lori. See you.
Ciao.
Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was the short recap of why I'm doing this strange conference, which has been a total blast today. I am so happy that all these amazing people are pitching in and sharing their amazing knowledge and tips. And I love all the people who are up here in this great row of people following this day. So let me introduce Jolene first, and then we will introduce Liana. Yes, Jolene,
Sure.
You're next to me in my screen. Yes.
Hello.
She's a former Central New York television reporter and anchor turned author, writer, blogger, and speaker. Now, why did she, on earth, leave her cozy TV job? Well, she did it to design her own deliberate life and to profit from it. So after struggling for years in a place that didn't satisfy her true dreams and desires, Jolene bravely left security of her TV job to embark on a journey that allowed her to unearth her greatest dreams and ambitions and desires. So, and it made her recognize that there wasn't a single person in the world that couldn't also design their own deliberate life and future. Because today she extends the message through her blog and her candid comedic, what's the word? Comedic,
it's all
sorry,
good.
I'm Dutch. I need coaching from time to time. Yeah.
I love it.
So her message inspires action, promotes changes, and resurrects passion. And she's a certified coach with the Tobbins Madanes.
Robbins. It's Tony Robbins.
Please
Yeah.
say that 3 times in a row without getting your tongue in a knot for strategic intervention. And she has been professionally speaking on stages for 10 years. And she is, and that's not in the tagline, she's just a lovely person. Yes. Yeah, and really easy in communicating. Yes. And Lianne Ebbinghausen is here, and I'm really happy that she is willing to engage in this talk. Also, she transformed her Dutch practice into a global company in less than 6 months, and she did it by walking her talk, speaking and selling from the heart. Now that's a combination that's really challenging for many professionals, because we know how to present or to talk, but we don't really get to the whole call to action part, because we are so enthusiastically sharing our message. But we could do it better. So with more than 12 years of working with numerous amazing achievers worldwide, she delivers fast-track mentoring so that you can attract business fast and put yourself on the pedestal you deserve. Yes. Hello, Lianne.
Hello. Such a treat to be here, I must say. What an event you have put up.
Have you been
Wow. I would say, yeah. And although I'm a blab virgin, I'm a,
You're not the only one here. There are more speakers for the first time.
I'm hooked on this platform already. Yeah, it's my first time on. Yeah.
I'm such a blab dictionary.
No, but I admire your courage to come up with this topic and then do it on, a platform like Blab. So kudos to you.
Thank you, Lianne. Well, it's oh, where's Jolene? Jolene, come back. We miss you. Get her back. There she is.
She's coming.
Yeah. Well, we have kind of a glitchy connection. I don't know, in terms of sound and echo. So I can relate to that if she wanted to reboot her browser, because I did something of the same. Hi, Jolene. What went wrong? Was it sound? Was it echo? Was it something else?
Jonathan, he said, Jolene, refresh. So I did exactly what I was told.
Wow.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, it may be a daring topic indeed to deal with online negativity, but at the same time, we are looking forwards behind that online negativity and envy to reach our goals and to fulfill our dreams and desires and ambitions. So the whole concept of those 13 people sharing what they know so that people who are watching this can improve their own businesses and lives is just such a treat. And I borrowed the word there because you just expressed it, but it is a treat. And it's not just for you, but also for me, because I'm so humbled and happy that so many of you are so willingly share your insights and taking the plunge on this Blab platform. And many of you haven't been on this platform before, so I know it has been challenging in the preparations. I met Jolene through Blab, and I'm really happy that we could connect this way, and we can extend the way we work this way. And that's also the power of Blab, and I can't emphasize that enough, because Blab is after Twitter, in my own perception, it's the platform that erases geographical boundaries. They're just gone. And it's lovely to meet people from Australia, from Ireland, from Chicago and Brazil and Belgium and Lithuania and wherever, because it's you get to look and to experience other people's cultures and insights. This is just beautiful, and I've learned so much since August 30th when I joined Blab, and it's such a treat to be there and to be part of that. And it's just completely a challenge for me to connect all these people and share them with you. But it's also really humbling and satisfying that they agreed. So thank you all.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, So that was kind of a long introduction, but I just wanted to share that with you. So, okay, so we're talking about public speaking in the boardroom, but also on TEDx. Now, I wanted to ask you both, first, Lianne, perhaps, have you encountered envy around you online regarding your expertise or experience at one point in your career involving speaking?
Of course not. Well, yes, and yeah, many times, and it seems to be some kind of dynamic or something. Like it comes and it goes, it comes and it goes. At least that's my experience. And for me, it has shown up in two ways. The people who lend my stuff, so to speak, or copy stuff, or use it, or but there are also these disguised options like judgments and projections and all kinds of things that people say or think about you, and then it's up to me to decide, is it envy or is it admiration or is it something else, or where do the lines blur? I don't know, but yes, on and off I encounter some type of envy that I assume.
Did you have one example of it, just for a short reference?
So it started off with stealing titles of programs and products and workshops, or speeches even, pieces of articles, whole articles. And I even, that happened recently, I joined a webinar of an expert, and then I saw a testimonial that was so similar to one that I had. And I was like, I never had someone copy or lend a testimonial text. So I would, even plan to be surprised. That is what I would say in how it can show up. And the disguised options, they come in the form of, I have this difficult surname, Ebbinghuizen. And when I work with international people in English, then there are even people that say, I don't want to connect with you because that name is so brutal. Unless you change your last name, I won't connect with you. Or really like, okay. And then it's up to me, so how do I step beyond that? Because that's what we're talking about today, right? So first I feel the hit in my face. So it's like it hurts a little. And then I rather not stay passive. So I always, contact that person and tell them that I noticed what they did. And I put out a request. And that's where I stop. Because what I've learned now is two things to realize. One, so who's the owner of knowledge in this world? Who's really the owner of all the knowledge and insights? Yeah. Okay, they may be my ideas, but And then I learned for myself that when I see someone doing something like this, then it's for me a sign to move on to my next new thing.
Yeah, trigger yourself
and detach from
it. To develop some more.
Exactly. So that's how I go about it now.
Thank you. So Jolene, have you ever encountered envy around you online regarding your expertise in online speaking?
Yeah, I'm listening
Could you share something about that?
Sure. I was listening to Lianne going, projection, judgment. When I first started as a speaker, there was one woman in particular that I admired very much. She gave me an hour of her time and told me how she began as a speaker. She even gave me my first speaking opportunity. And I'm one of those people, I just hit the ground running. And I hit the ground running. And I went like this with my career. And there was a lot of negativity, and envy from that individual. And it broke my heart because there was actually a friendship and a relationship there. And how I dealt with it, I actually attempted to put her in my book, and she wouldn't approve what I wrote. So I had to actually change her name and everything like that. It was very positive. There was nothing negative about it. It was about how she helped me grow. But to deal with it,
which is a great compliment.
Yeah, I thought so too, but she never read that. I don't even know if she did to this day. But I write about it. So I write I have a column in a few different magazines, and I'm very open about it. And that's how I release it, is I write about it. In the old days, so when I first started building my business, my reaction to anybody that had envy or projection was to respond. And I am amazed with myself that I don't respond anymore. So I've learned to ignore, and that's, if you knew me 10 years ago, you'd be like, are you kidding me? How do you, Jolie, not open your mouth? But I recognize it is projection, and I'm not, I project too. We all do. So I recognize that it's people that see what they want. And if we can't have it, neither can they. Yes. And if we can't have it, neither can they. So it's a human condition, and it's something we have to learn to somehow navigate and deal with. So how I move beyond it is I write about it. I was taking notes. I write about it and I ignore them. And then there was actually a coach that I engaged with. She was a high-end coach. I invested an incredible amount of money. And I recognized probably 3 weeks in, this woman doesn't care for me, and not just doesn't care for me, she was envious. And it was very, I had to break up with her. And that was tough to do, because when I did that, now this is the interesting part, because Liana, you said, you reached out to these people and had conversation. I had conversation with other professionals and said, how do you think I should approach this? And their response, which I agreed with, was take the high road and don't say, you, this is because of you. I basically released myself from working where they're saying, I can't handle your program. And, signed off and didn't have to pay her anymore and walked away from that. And that wounded me for a very long time. So those were two prime examples of people that were right here, front and center, that during my growth, instead of appreciating it and nurturing it, envied it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
They are painful experiences, and of course, I also had encountered that. In terms of public, I have encountered that in my online training programs, but also in public speaking. There was one moment when I was preparing for my TEDx talk, which was in February 2015. I was working on preparing for this thing, and finally there was the moment that the world could know that I would be performing at TEDx. And I have been silent about that for 9 months before, because I signed a contract. And at one point I talked about it online. Okay, people, I will be on TEDx, and this is the promotional video, and I'm pretty nervous for it, but we just give it a lash and we'll probably be fine, but we're not there yet. And there was one person, and she said, well, that's just because you are on Twitter a lot, and because you had this book, and because you had this, and because you had that. And I thought, well, maybe, but why is that a bad thing? and and maybe, but I have an idea worth spreading. And if you didn't focus on other people being successful or getting something that they were growing towards, but instead just look to what kind of idea worth spreading you yourself could have, you would have a completely other dynamic, and you wouldn't be saying things like this. And you would just see my challenges as being a professional who has been speaking for over 10 years and now feels a healthy and maybe unhealthy amount of stage fright for the first time in her life. So the core thing was the lack of empathy, which we are talking about in an hour with the wonderful Michelle Sparbo. And that's vitally important if you perceive other people's success. And another example, I think that Jolene will be back in just a minute. Another example was someone who said, well, I think you did well, but I think just because people know you from online and in media, you got asked, but maybe my idea is better. And the only thing that I could think of was, well, why didn't you share your idea? Because I know for a fact that many curators from TEDx are always on the lookout for brilliant ideas. So please stop nagging and just start sharing.
And this actually happens a lot. You know, this happened before you even got on stage, but it also can happen,
Afterwards.
you know, with some people in the audience or afterwards.
Yes.
And this is what I learned. So even for myself, because, you know, all this judging and nagging, we are so afraid of being judged. And sometimes we translate it as we're afraid of what people might think of us. But I always say we're so afraid of being judged. So we judge first.
And we stop doing that.
That's what
it's not interested. It's
exactly. So, but that's what these hecklers or people who are, you know, reaching out to us. It's their mechanism. So it's at least that's how I explain it.
Yeah,
and it helped me to see through what's happening, and then I can bring up my empathy for them a lot easier.
And you're not feeling sorry for them, you're just feeling empathy, because you know that it takes a lot of courage to show that you have certain ambitions that you want to see fulfilled.
Exactly. And it's so easy to just lean into that judgment piece.
And just engage. Start engaging.
Engage, delay judgment, and then you bring in more good vibes so things can happen for you too. So that's
indeed.
To me, so that's how you get beyond. Even I can be jealous or, you know, envy a person who has or can do something that I cannot.
Of course,
but
it's all human.
Now I can see my own mechanism of, I'm not judging. I delay my judgment, and first I need to learn from this person.
Yeah, so because there is something that they or excel at, or either excel at, or are just more far along than you are, and that's completely fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, because and usually when you are feeling envious of someone who is a more booked speaker, for instance,
or admires this person for
indeed,
that,
then you can discover and just research. Hi, Jolene. She's back. Yes, she's back.
Hi, Jolene.
So, but then you get the amazing opportunity to discover in your own heart and mind what it actually is that you are wishing for yourself. Because it usually isn't that exact career of the other person. It isn't that exact book. It isn't that exact stage. It is a way to feel more free in the way you present yourself to the world in your work. And that can have like all these different kinds of shapes and appearances.
Exactly.
And the gem in it, and I cannot stress this enough, is about finding what it really is that you want to accomplish. And it sounds like a really simple question, but it takes a whole of a lot of honesty, and also probably some own hurdles that you have in your own heart and mind, and because of the baggage from the past or whatever, and you have to deal with those issues, because otherwise you won't be free to wish the right things, because then you will have something in your head saying, yeah, I want that, but I'm not good enough anyway, or that's only for those people, but not for me. You have to deal with your own monsters and hang-ups in order to be free.
Exactly.
Also on stage, because the moment you're on stage and you're feeling insecure, that is absolutely nothing to be ashamed about. Absolutely not. Being afraid to be on stage, or being intimidated by this big whole 1,200 people in the room thing, that's nothing to be ashamed of. The only thing that it needs is your own vulnerability, and to be there and be seen anyway, regardless of your fears. And that takes courage, and that is the in one essence, it is the definition of courage. And it also takes courage to see that one of the talents that you haven't yet developed with for yourself, but are there in the core, are there to be developed, and that you're just not there yet. So it's also a blessing in disguise, discovering that, because that's the opportunity to learn it.
Exactly.
Okay, sorry, I'm babbling too much. Am I babbling too much? I'm babbling too much. God, I'm preaching. Hallelujah. Oh, it's unbelievable. Sorry. Jolene.
Hi, sorry about that.
Sorry for this. I was a bit too passionate about this topic perhaps, but it's basically the reason that I did this whole conference. So who inspires you? Who has some amazing skills in public speaking that you'd like to master? Who inspires you?
Me personally? You know, I had this question. I did a blab. No, I had a blab the other night with Gerald Dubose. He does Great O'Clock, a blab show. And he asked me this question, except his question was in the form of, what mentors do you admire? And my response is, there isn't just one. I mean, there's my own personal coach, but I take little pieces from everybody. And the people that I guess I could say that I admire the most and want to emulate what they're doing are the ones that are humble, that are open to receiving from other people, and that don't put themselves on a different platform than the rest of us. Because we all have to start somewhere. Yeah. You know, I actually left a group that was a huge group of speakers because I felt personally that that's the dynamic that was happening, that was unfolding, that you had to have you had to be at a certain level to be able to participate or ask specific questions. And we're all at different levels. We will always be at different levels. And even if there are people up here and there are people, and I'm using a visual down here, that doesn't make one better than the other. That just means someone else is further along on their journey.
I agree on that. And even, you know, one person can be up here in their skill set, but we all have this disproportional profile. So we can have a 10 in this area, and then we have a 6 in this area, or a 7 in that area. So we all have these variations. And once I get to see those variations in all people around me, that's where I started to learn from everyone. Just as Jolene said, I pick pieces from almost everywhere. Anyone. Yeah, everywhere. And it's different pieces from different people. Yeah.
And like Pablo just said, I think we can learn from everyone, even the bad ones. Oh, yes. Because it shows me what I don't want to be or what I don't want to do, you know? And I actually had an experience, and I'll be very, very brief. I was very open about it. I wrote about it in my column. I wrote about it in my blog, where I bombed a talk. And it was just the wrong audience, my planets didn't align that day. And I was very, very open about that happening because I knew that there were other speakers in different places that could benefit from that. But there were also speakers that were like, well, why would you share that? Why would you be vulnerable? Because people need to learn. I need to learn. It probably won't be the last time. I certainly hope it is. You know, but there's always going to be those moments where someone doesn't love you and they're not going to be pleased with the performance that you're doing or the talk that you're delivering. And if everyone in here is a speaker, it's happened to all of us. Yeah.
It happened to all of us at one point. And if it hasn't happened, we haven't gone far enough.
Yes. That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
We've all been there, and we will never, ever forget those experiences. Trust me. And at the same time, you can look back with empathy to who you were at that time. Mm-hmm. Like this summer, I was at a certain book presentation of someone who's in the same areas as I am, and he did a wonderful thing. He asked different speakers to add something to the whole equation of the day. So there was someone who had his own company for years and years, and there was a female entrepreneur who was really taking everything to the next level, and he wanted to give the opportunity to a really young speaker who had just graduated and who wanted to share his insights about networking via social media. So there he was standing, and at first I had a horrible case of feeling that in Holland we call it plaatsvervangende schaamte. Please say that, Jolene. No, sorry, I'm kidding. I was feeling shame for him without him feeling it. I don't know how you describe that in English. No, yeah, that came later. Not that was phase 2. It took about 10 minutes to get to that stage.
I don't think there is an English word for that.
No, maybe it's like gezellig. It's not really translatable. Yeah, but what happened was that this young man who was so enthusiastic, and I was so happy for him that he was so happy doing it. But the only thing that he was venting was, I can teach you everything about networking with LinkedIn, and you don't know how to network. I know how to network. It was really, really forceful.
Mr. Know-it-all.
And it was cute in a way, but after 5 minutes we got a bit tired, and he kept going. And at a certain point he said, well, I'm doing a challenge now because I want to be the biggest speaker in the Netherlands and beyond. So I have a challenge. I want to be on 50 great stages, and I have 5 weeks. I given myself 5 weeks to get booked on big stages. So if you have a big stage and want to book me, I'm here, because that's my... I was like, almost. And
so the interesting question here is always, so what happens to you when you have...
Because I thought we have all been in that place that we wanted to grow our network, we wanted to get out of our comfort zone and trying to find innovative things to get our career going. That's what I empathized with most. But at the same time, I thought, please let it be over soon. So when he was done, I got to him and said, okay, you're really enthusiastic and that's a great thing. But at the same time, I think you should consider using other strategies to get where you're going. And well, he didn't really appreciate me saying that. So that was another learning point of having someone giving feedback to you. But I was trying to be very, very, very genteel about it. But well, you know,
he made it
we all had to
not about the audience. That was the mistake.
Yes, of course. But but indeed, it was about him. He thought he made the classic mistake of a speaker who thinks that his performance is about him. Mm-hmm. Performing and delivering a message should never, ever, ever be about you. Because if your message does not stand on its own or can't stand on its own, it's not worth delivering. If it is dependent on you as a person, then the message isn't strong enough. That's what I believe. So, and of course, if the message is good enough, then of course you can use your personality and your flirtations and your jokes and your Star Wars Easter eggs and everything. That's fine, you know. But the message has to stand on its own in order to get the message across, and also to get booked another time, because you have to provide value for your audience and not for you, not for yourself only.
So for me, it comes together with the intention, with the intention that you have for your audience.
For who are you providing? Do you? Jolene is looking like this, and I thought, oh God, maybe she thinks I'm just babbling and rambling, not making sense at all.
No, all these thoughts are just going through my head about how I think when you're a new speaker, these are the walls you're going to hit. You think you're doing it right, and some folks over here were saying, you don't know what you don't know, and
you just start somewhere.
That's how you learn.
Yeah, I was when I started out in 2004 with speaking and presenting, I was the typical example of someone who was really enthusiastic, and the audience was really happy that I was so enthusiastic. And yes, they got some valuable nuggets about, you know, whatever I was talking about, but I was really at the beginning of my learning curve as a speaker. and it took me years to get at a certain level, and I love every process phase from it, because if you're in the middle of that phase, like let's say 6 years ago or 5 years ago, I was an okay speaker, I was an okay presenter, but there are many things I still had to improve, but I enjoyed the process. I already felt so much joy doing it. And even though I knew that I shouldn't be talking so fast, and
So how did you discover that you had to learn something? Because that's the interesting, point for new speakers or growing speakers. So
listening.
when do you feel there's a new thing to learn?
When I am completely and utterly in love with someone's performance. And
Okay. Oh,
that's one thing. And also when I feel that at a certain moment in time that there are some of these milestones in your own career. One of them for me is my TEDx conference. It was the first time I experienced excruciating amount of stage fright. And I thought, why am I so afraid now for the first time in my life? I usually have like jitters for 2 minutes before a conference. And today, of course, I had jitters because this is the first time this ever happens in the Netherlands, that we have a conference for 7 hours via Blab. So of course I'm nervous. Not anymore, but still it's tense, it's intense. But it's the time that you know that you are doing something that you haven't done before. That's usually the time when I know that I have to step up my game, and that I know it's vitally important to stay open to whatever happens, because I'm not here by myself just yapping away all day. I'm here with all those people here above. I'm with all those people here in the chat box. I'm all with these amazing people here. And all that I can do is participate in everything that's happening here today. And I may be the initiator, and I may be the one who feels that being the solution to this problem called online envy or whatever is so important. But it's also about knowing and feeling that you cannot by any means do this by yourself. And it is about giving up control, which is about I see my boyfriend probably looking at me with like almost an annoyed expression on his face, because he knows what a control freak I am. It's true. It's one of the biggest challenges you have. And if you're on stage, sometimes you could mistake your influence you have on your audience with your personal control. And those are two entirely different things. And knowing that and feeling the difference and stepping up your game and remaining open throughout the whole process, that is when I learn the most. Because it triggers my own insecurities.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. That's a really long answer. God, I'm babbling again. Now answer your own question, dear.
Okay, so the moment that I feel I need to learn something is when I feel there's not enough fun, not enough joy. So when I feel like, oh, this is like I'm blocking myself. So, and the other moment that I need to learn something is when I not getting any results. I mean, I'm not just talking for talking, I'm talking for a purpose also. It's also and I do listen to some feedback that I get, that I get after talks or evaluations, although I had to learn how to deal with that separately. So those are a few points when I feel, hey, yeah, this is my time to step up and learn something new. And even if it's a new stage or a new topic, then usually I need to learn something new too. But that's the new thing.
You learn about YouTube? What did you say?
new. When I'm doing something new, I usually need to learn something. And it's out of my comfort zone, and that's it. And often it means surrender to help, surrender to the fact that you cannot have any control, and those kind of steps.
And control is also not all that's cracked up to be. No, it's
Sorry,
control is not everything that it's cracked up to be. No, it's not a steady route to success. It's about trying to let go.
No. I don't think it even exists.
I don't know, but it's something that you can choose. You always have a choice. You can always choose to release, to let go. Maybe that's a bit vague, but Jolene, could you answer this question, this smart question that Leon asked?
And that is
maybe you can repeat it.
What you learn, what you learn every time.
The question was, when do you feel that you need to learn something new? As a lot of startup speakers and growing speakers are listening to this blab.
The same thing you said, when the joy is gone, when it's not exciting, when like Jojanneke, you said, when I'm watching somebody do something and I go, oh, wow, that was powerful. How did they do that? How did they get to that stage? How do I get to that stage? And it's ever evolving, it's constantly luring. So I think, yeah. And when I say when the joy is gone, I want to make it clear, I'm not talking about the joy in speaking, but it's okay if you're,
learning.
It's okay if your talk shifts. It's okay if your mind changes. It's okay if your heart changes and your message changes, because your lives every day is different. And so you may be very, very passionate about something, and that, that's what excites me, is when something profound happens to me or I have an experience, then I'm relit, like the joy comes back and I'm like, oh, I got to do a talk on that. That would be fantastic. I could change lives with that.
Once more.
Yeah.
Okay. So now time is flying and we only have 3 minutes left, but I'm going to stretch it by 2 or 3 minutes. There are 2 questions we still have to answer. One of them is from Jonathan Bean. He's asking, how do we design a persuasive presentation? What are the elements of persuasive speech? Yeah, well, design the presentation. I don't know whether or not you are talking about crafting the talk or about crafting slides. If you want to know more about creating slides and presentation material, you can check out the wonderful book. Was it Captivate? What was it called? Do you know it, girls? It's a book by this lady who has written about how to design TED.
Resonate? The writer of Resonate?
Resonate, yeah. It's a book, Resonate.
I forgot the name.
It's about, I forgot the name, but we'll the text probably will Resonate book. Let's see it. We'll find it. Nancy Duarte, that's her.
Is that a presentation? There are many good books.
Yeah. So if that's what you're wondering about, you can check out the book that is now in the chat box. If you're asking about crafting a talk, well, my new book is about that also. So you might read that from April 1. But if you're talking about how to sell something, to be more persuasive, Liana is like the master of this. So maybe you have a short answer to that question.
Okay, so the structuring a talk is a talk in itself, but I think one of the biggest keys to design a talk that creates some tension, so that people want to change and want to do something and want to step up and want to reach out to you, because that's the purpose of a persuasive presentation, is that it's essential that you really validate and demonstrate that you can see where your audience is hanging out now and what the struggles are and what they're dealing with. And also that you demonstrate how the world looks like on the other side of the fence. So what's their perspective? What is it that they can how they can transform when they work with you or when they pick up your information or inspiration or your tips or whatever. So that that's the main key, and that's really a short answer.
Great. Well,
here.
if we will leave some call to action, links for everyone to check out more about what Leon knows, and maybe you can reach out to discover more about this topic. There's one.
I'd like to add to that if I
Laura,
can. Can I just add to that?
Yeah, we're over time already, but yeah,
oh, are we? Okay. Oh, okay. I just want to say,
and in 10 minutes next session, and I had to rehydrate. So we get if it's short,
30
definitely.
seconds. 30 seconds, John. Believe in what you're talking about. If you're trying to build a talk and you don't believe in it, it's going to fall flat. And 2, trust that you can solve a problem. And then any product you sell or service you sell, you'll be able to convey that without manipulation or without feeling salesy.
Excellent pitch, dear. That's wonderful, and you totally nailed that. It's absolutely wonderful. Now, there's one last question from Lori. She asked what the difference between corporate talks and TEDx talks is. Well, it's basically, it basically does not cover. It's a really bad word because it's an immense difference. It's an entire different universe. In terms of creating story, in terms of not having a niche audience, because everyone is watching TEDx talks, and that is not just young people who have dogs and are looking for a partner. That's a niche. TEDx, everyone is watching TEDx talks and want to learn from that. So it's really hard to prepare your message that is not just aimed at one kind, at a particular kind of target group, because there isn't any except TEDx lovers. Furthermore, the way that you're preparing might be different entirely from talking to your boardroom, to your board members, because if you are making presentations or giving presentations in corporate sessions, also in corporate settings, then you have like a great slide deck, and you have, Lori's coming up probably because I have to stop babbling. But and she's right. She's right. There she is.
Ask the question.
Somebody get you.
I know about
duct tape on the mouth.
Just wanted to jump in and say you didn't necessarily have to answer the question for me, but because of the title of the blab, I thought it would be a good thing for people to think about. There is a difference.
Yeah, and I'm going to pause just a little bit shorter so to be on time for the next session and to answer this question. So that's just the price I'm going to have to pay for being verbal. that's just the thing. But what you that the big difference is also about preparing, because there are a lot of rules and regulations around performing at TEDx. Most of it is scripted. It looks like it's really natural, but it has to be like that, but it's not, because you have to learn a lot of copy that you have written yourself. You have to be secure about the way that you are presenting the message, and the message should never, ever, ever, ever be about you, but about what other people can do with it. It's not enough sharing that you have encountered some kind of hardship and leave it at that, because everyone would just think, oh, that's so courageous that she shared that. But that is not a call to action, and there has to be a call to action in terms of changing someone's life. So there has to be something in it. So, okay, so I know this. I've woken up. I know about this topic, and now I have to integrate this and change my life by doing so and so. And that's something entirely different than stating up the year statement. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of more different things about that, and you can discover more about that from April in my new book. And I will be gladly sharing about that more. So there are just some things about Jolene Moody. She'd like to offer a great present. It's in a free excerpt. Yeah, of
Of
her
her
book,
book.
How to Find and Create Paid Speaking Opportunities. And you can find it in the link in the chat box. And her books,
Yes.
How to Find and
There's
Create,
the
and
link
How
in the
to
chat
Write.
box.
Yeah, and Liana has a free DVD for you, My 3 Biggest Secrets to Selling Without Stress, via easyinfluence.com.
Yes.
So
I'm going to
leave
make
the
a
link.
statement about those for those of you who have been with us throughout the day. If you missed any of the links to any of the speakers' offers for you or ways for you to connect, we're going to do some sort of follow-up where you're going to have access to it. We'll put it together a PDF because it has been a little bit tricky. We had some issues with Blab, so sorry about that. So if you were a
Also on
speaker and
the
your offer
Beyond
wasn't
Envy
in there,
Conference, beyondenvyconference.com, we will post
it'll
all the
be
call
there.
to actions there. Yeah. So visit their
Exactly.
website and you'll find
Right.
it. And my surprise is also the scoop of the title of my new book, which will be Live Your Talks.
Love
And
it.
on liveyourtalks.com, you can find some more
Drum
information
roll.
about that.
Yay. Sweet.
Boom!
So, ladies, that was a lot to go through. Whew. And now
Yeah,
we're
so
going to be coming
2
up
minutes to
on
hydrate.
something. Yes, it's going to be radical empathy,
Yes,
correct?
that's the topic.
And
We're
that is
building up.
going to be the end of our conference here. So I hope that Leanne, we see you more on Blab. I look forward to seeing more of you, Jolene. I know that you're already a Blabomaniac, but I just had never seen you before, but
Blaberific.
that's the great thing. So I'm trying to get JoJanneke off because I know she needs to drink some water.
She needs a break.
Thank you so much, Jolene and lovely
I'm like the
Liana.
llama.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
JoJanneke.
you.
Thank you guys so much. It was really
Bye-bye.
great. Look forward to connecting with you. Everybody in the room, follow people and get a chance to find out more. So we'll have the links. And we will also be sharing on the website for Beyond Envy 2016 conference, okay? So
Bye.
please move over to the link. Bye. Thanks again. See you.
Bye.